get more stuff.
Good morning, everyone. For our colleagues online, we'll be starting in a moment. Thank you for joining us this morning. Dawn, could you kindly share the slides, please?
One moment, please.
Thank you.
Is anybody down here for the next hearing? Anybody brave it?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, it's like, well, you're mom. I know, but I was staying inside.
Like.
It was,
Only do it.
for me, the thing that I found the most impressive was how amazing New Yorkers were. Yeah. And how, I mean, in general, I mean, there were a lot of people who came with a lot of alcohol, and yet it was really well managed, and people were happy and friendly and very little violence and very little anything that was kind of on the negative side. And when you, DSNY are the true heroes. I'm sorry. To see them afterwards was. What they've managed to do in this city for the past few weeks.
Yeah, so and we have. It's like America, you didn't do World Cup final, I mean, it's like a fight on Sunday, I mean, it's like one thing after another.
Only for those in this room, please don't spread it further, but a trick for ticker tape parades, as I learned this year, is if you go right before the ticker tape parade starts, then you don't have to like enter through their various entrances and go through all the security, and then you can see where it lines up. And you can go to the front of where it lines up.
It's never gonna happen again. I'll never go see that.
All right, that's also not recording on the mic. No, we're not recording yet. Wait, are you muted? Are we muted?
No, we're not muted.
No. We're not muted, all right. And I will shush. I'm with Esther. We have only 7 participants, who else? Okay, no attendees?
Yes, we do. And we also have a member of the public joining us in person today as well. So I do want to acknowledge that. Thank you for joining us this morning. All right.
Lots of great viewing spots in Lower Manhattan.
Can we please start the recording? Wonderful. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for bearing with us this morning. We're starting a bit later than we usually do, but thank you as we waited for our colleagues to trickle in. Good morning. Good to see everyone. Thank you also for your flexibility. And, you know, obviously last week, Thursday probably wasn't the best day for us to host Borough Board. I did see pictures of colleagues that braved their way into the office, and it just seemed like, oh. So thank you again for your flexibility. This meeting is officially called to order at 8:57 a.m. And with that, we'll go straight into the roll call, please. CB1.
Present, good morning and hello.
CB2.
Present.
Nice to see you, Valerie, online. CB3. CB4.
Here. Online.
Good to see you. CB5. CB6.
Here.
Good to see you. CB7.
Here.
CB8.
Here.
CB9.
Present.
CB10.
Here online.
CB11.
Present.
Good to see you, Adele, and CB12.
Here.
Good to see you, Anthony. And I'm also noting that I do not see any council members in person, but I do see members of their staff. I do want to acknowledge Ben from Councilmember Carl Wilson's office. Thank you for joining us. And we also have Bryce from Councilmember Maloney's office online joining us on Zoom. Thank you. All right. With that, I do want to move forward with the adoption of the June 25, 2026 Borough Board Agenda. Is there a motion?
So, second.
Great, sounds moved by Anthony and second by Kathy. Thank you. Agenda is adopted. Moving on to the adoption of the Borough May 21, 2026 Borough Board minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the minutes? Thank you, Alex. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, that was second by Victor. Thank you very much. Okay, great. The borough president hasn't joined us just yet, so we're just gonna shift the agenda slightly until he's able to join us. Again, we're also not joined by members of the city council, so we will skip that agenda item. We will move though to a short presentation by our new Manhattan Borough Organizing Director, Alejandro.
Hello, good morning. My name is Alejandro Coria. I'm a tenant organizer and a resident in Washington Heights. I've worked as a tenant organizer for the last 9 years in West Harlem, Central Harlem, Hamilton Heights, and parts of the Upper West Side with different organizations. And I'm fairly new to the team. I just wanted to introduce myself. Basically, the project that we have over the next 2 years is to help support tenant unions, tenant associations, neighborhood-wide unions, to coalesce and organize into a Manhattan Tenants Union over time. Part of it is coordinating internally for having a tenant perspective incorporated into all the different policy areas on which our team works. Part of it is helping support community boards in integrating tenants, in assisting tenants in organizing and providing space, in providing expertise, support, in connecting people with services. But having tenants be part of like envisioning what they want for their neighborhood and not just in fights over housing conditions in their specific buildings. And tenant organizing, as many of you know, is a fundamental force in New York City politics historically. It's been one of the main forces in ensuring neighborhood diversity, social diversity, very important qualities of life in preserving habitability, not just the building scale, but neighborhood scale, and in setting aside space for thriving working class life in one of the most expensive cities in the world. And I'm really honored to be here amongst all of you. I really look forward to working with you all over the next year. And over the next 3 months, we're still at the study and design phase, but I want to visit every single community board, meet with each one of you, and meet with your members, do neighborhood studies, and figure out for each community board how we can support you depending on what your needs, what your capacities, what your desires are. And yeah, depending on that, like figuring out how we can help you build space or how we can provide support for different initiatives, or connect groups of tenants that are coming to you with issues with the support that they need and with the space that they need to organize. So yeah, I'll be coming around after the meeting to introduce myself. And sorry, my head is in Venezuela today, which is my home country. Yeah, I'm a bit all over the place, but thank you for giving me the time to introduce myself.
Can I just say, I want to just say that we're really excited to have Alejandro on board. He comes with a wealth of knowledge and experience in organizing. And we do think that creating something like a Manhattan Tenant Union could be really not just helpful to all of us, but also sustainable and something that we can continue to build and grow, especially with your input. So, you know, we'll let everybody breathe over the summer a bit, but then I think we're really ready to deploy Alejandro to community board meetings, to committee meetings. Let us know where you think is the best place for him to come and start talking to members and to boards. But know that he's here as a resource and also here to really start getting plugged into your groups and hearing about what could be helpful. So welcome Alejandro, we're super excited to have you. I said I thought
Yeah, ask a quick question. So, CB1 is a little different, special child linked, when it comes to tenants associations. We have quasi rent stabilized, and we have a lot of Mitchell Mama and former HUD buildings that have groups of tenants that did not move over to privatization, who need support because they're kind of little islands in their larger communities. And is that gonna be one of the types of groups that would be in this?
Yes.
Okay.
what it is.
And then we have other groups of tenant groups that are in buildings where either the landlord's been foreclosed on because it's so terrible, et cetera, that they're trying to get help, and it's very difficult because you can find a building for the scaffolding, but that doesn't mean that they're actually doing any of the repairs. And so finding, there's only so many 311 complaints residents have. So can we like use this office as a resource for them?
Yes, absolutely.
That's,
Also-
those are our long-term, let's, you know,
Yeah, we did.
we can't fix everything. But
After 9/11, we had a World Trade Center coalition of residents. That we did that same thing, so, but for us, it was about sharing of information, good practice, making sure that everybody had the same information from the landlords coming down, so. Yeah, I get it.
That's the exact type of model.
Okay, fantastic.
So we're
Welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Tabby. Any other questions?
So-
For the house?
Yes, in that same vein, we recovering, say, HDFCs, NYCHA, co-ops and all of those different areas.
Over time.
Great.
I think NYCHAs are a little different. I think what NYCHAs have their TAs formed. Information getting to TAs, I think, is some of the concerns, or TAs interacting with their whole buildings, and every NYCHA has a different thing. We just had, and you'll hear Brad talk about it, we just had a NYCHA TA brunch that we did where Alejandro was introduced to everybody, and it was lovely and fantastic. But I think we wanna, it's not just, it's so easy to get really deeply into the NYCHA TA situation. And I think what we want for Alejandro is to be concentrating on some of these, on all of these other types of housing that really need the establishment of TAs. And then thinking through also being resources to NYCHA TAs, of course, as well. So there's two, you know, tracks at the same time.
And if I could add to that, so our team, the community liaisons, they go to the NYCHA TA meetings and engage in those meetings and have those connections with the NYCHA TA presidents.
I think also, if you all know, one of the things we did at the NYCHA TA brunch was really try to get updated information on TA meeting times and schedules and locations. Oftentimes our teams have, and I'm sure this is true for you all as well, we think that they're meeting at a certain time, we show up, nobody's there, got changed, we don't know. I know, I see the face of it. But if you have any of that information, please let us know. And if there are groups that you think need, or NYCHA TAs that need more help sort of organizing and getting on track, we'd love that information this summer too, so that we can make a plan for how we start engaging with them.
There's also community liaisons that cover 3 or 4
Yeah.
different NYCHA developments, might be a resource.
Exactly, yeah, working with them as well, thank you, yeah, but any knowledge y'all have, let us know.
Great, thank you for that. Welcome, Alejandro.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So now we will move on to the next agenda item before we go into. Well, maybe we could committee board reports first. No. We can move on to the next agenda item. So
That's
what I.
And then we just want, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Let's wait for the borough president. He's on his way. So if we can, actually, we're gonna jump around and thank you again, everyone, for your flexibility today. We're gonna move to the community board chair reports. And then once the borough president is back, then we'll jump back to his report and then the agenda item put forward by Adem. So with that, community board 1, please, 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna start with, we had our final report on housing and affordability in CB1. As probably most people know, in Manhattan, we are the largest growing residential neighborhood, hands down, 47.4% growth. And while people can cheer and think that's great, it hasn't actually done what everybody claims and touts from City of Yes. We've also lost 21% of rent stabilized housing since 2020. So we are both the largest gain and the largest loss of affordability. And the gain in market and luxury has not translated into affordability. So that whole trickle down theory, we have all the data, it was presented, I'm happy to share with anybody. So yeah, the city doesn't track loss. We ended up having to do it through Pluto and tax revenue, and it took several months, but I'll leave that as it is. And I'm hoping that we can have a discussion to change policy to ensure, for example, we are going over in Independence Plaza, which is supposed to be a modification, but it's adding a 1,000-foot tower with no guarantee for affordable housing. because all the affordable housing can be offset out of the district. It's something we fought. We said no to City of Yes because we want the affordable housing. It is absolutely galling. 3 projects in, no affordable housing. So I'll just leave it there. We also went over the environmental health impacts from NYU on the Manhattan Detention Center. There is missing data. The reports are really not good. And this was an independent, beyond the independent monitor, this was an independent analysis. It shows that there is massive impacts on the community around there. We stand with our neighbors saying that this isn't right. And we had Tudor Perini at the same meeting giving us the plan for the construction parts of it. And you know, the community boiled for information. The community was told by DDC, oh, I'm sorry, we don't know where the information is. And the builder in the room said he filed all his reports in Q1. So it's a little disingenuous for what's going on over there. We'd love some help supporting getting information, if nothing else. We also are in the middle of an environmental impact statement for the Fidei Board study, which is a new name for the Fidei Seaport Master Plan, EDC attempting to go get some federal money. That should be fun. We had,
I'm in people.
so I have a ton of stuff, but I'm gonna end with something that I'm talking to John about. We had one of our first cannabis showcase event permit applications. We are the local municipality, all the community boards. However, OCM in the state has told people that you don't need to go to a community board. We've set up our own local agency for a municipality. I think that has to be against the city charter or the local municipality. Were outlined in the original laws making OCM and the whole project that they need to come to us. This gentleman came. It was not a cannabis showcase event. It is selling cannabis in a hair salon across the street from a school after the school closes and doing FIFA watch parties to 4 a.m., which is literally everything he told us. And our concern, we of course declined it. We're going to send it up to OCM. But what we recognize is OCM is going to come back and say, you have no standing, you're not the local municipality. So I am begging all of the community boards to come together on this and the borough president to help us, because a separate state agency is not the local municipality, no matter what you have to say. And if the community board is supposed to be part of the review process, as outlined in the law, then we are the right place. These kinds of things should not become, you know, I'm all for helping any kind of business get started, but there was no safety, no security, no floor plans. He just wants to operate on weekends till 4 o'clock in the morning for FIFA watch parties and deliver. It's supposed to be 45 days. And his sheet said delivery 7 and operating 2 for the rest of the year.
They keep having, I know one of the things that we have on our list is actually to meet with OCM, and we'll be sure to kind of take some of this feedback.
Mark Fitzgerald and I talked to John, we'd be happy to come and.
Yeah, we could kind of pick that up offline.
Thank you.
Thank you. CB2. Valerie. We have to come back to CB.
I'm right here. I'll be really quick. Hi. Sorry, I'm not able to be there with y'all. I work on a live show. My report is pretty quick. One of the big things that we have going on is we are awaiting the Parks Department to come to us with alternatives for the French barricades, is that what they're called? The gates for Washington Square Park doesn't have official gate door, gates on it between the gaps of the entrances. And we had a very robust meeting to have a discussion with the community about where or how we can make that a more productive use of the actual closure of it. It takes quite an amount of manpower to put these temporary, kind of aesthetically ugly and aggressive looking gates. So that's something that we're looking forward. The mandate to the Parks Department was to come back to us with a set of alternatives to what is currently there, which could potentially include, because this was designed in the original design back when it was redone about a decade ago, just actual mechanisms. It's pretty low, as you guys all know. So the idea is just that it's just something that can be closed. When the park closes, again, that's pretty much one of our biggest items, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We do not have a representative from CB3, so I'll move on to CB4. Leslie, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for the last minute change online, and I'm going to miss a Dems presentation, so I'm not happy about that either. But hope everyone's well. We actually, this is going to be a very short update because we've actually been monopolized CB4 by a lot of housekeeping items. We had a very extensive search interview process and hired a new district manager, which we're onboarding. Of course, we're onboarding all the new members, going through the public members. We're settling into our new office. So we're doing a lot of that good stuff behind the scenes. But the two things I will mention is one of many of our big projects, the Port Authority Bus Terminal redevelopment. I don't know if you guys have had these problems with your big projects, but we're really fighting with the overnight work and the noise levels. And I mean, we even had an incident where residents started pouring water over workers overnight and they had to stop work. I mean, that's how bad it got. So we're in the middle of, I guess, negotiations with Port Authority on what overnight work for these huge projects look like. And I'm sure a lot of you guys with your projects have touched upon maybe similar things like this. But the other thing I do want to mention is we did pass a letter and sent a letter about the bill that's being introduced, or the bill that's floating, I should say, on council members taking over the application vetting and appointment process of certain community board members. And that community board 4 was adamantly against that, and we would like to keep it in the borough president's office. And I don't know if the borough president was going to speak on that or if you guys had any official opinion on that, but we did send a letter this past month to City Council saying that's a hard no for us, and we would like to keep the process as it is in the borough president's office. Thanks.
Us too.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate your report. Nice to see you. We do not have a representative for CB5, so we'll move on to CB6, please.
Great. We had 12 new members and we had our first onboarding meeting with them last night. We've already had 2 resign of 12. So it's an interesting process.
So
I one moved. Oh, one. One moved.
Did they give you reasons?
They said they moved out of the district.
Yeah, this is the president.
Which is a very
24-hour
period.
We
But well, one attended forward, but we reviewed attendance, and it was noted that attendance policy is different in every board across the city, and so people were wondering, are we going to come up with one that's borough-wide? Another question that came up is how long to keep the YouTube videos, because we realized that people quite often go back and extract information from them, so that's maybe something, again, borough-wide would be interesting to find out. I gave testimony on Intro 501, really good representation of all the district managers who are against this. Our board actually had a resolution, so was able to give testimony. We haven't talked about 332, I think it is, which is the council member appointments. We continue to prepare handbooks for new members and for chairs to try and keep our institutional information intact. Our housing committee is now taking a look at affordability for all types of housing, not just for renting. We realize it's a big problem. We have a lot of co-ops and condos, which are also experiencing huge affordability problems. So that's something in this next year they want to take a closer look at. And that's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sandy. Good to see you. On the reviewing attendance, so John and I, your district managers may have shared, but we actually hosted a meeting with the district managers about a week or 2 ago to have a preliminary discussion on attendance across the borough and what that looks like. We're currently in the process of reviewing bylaws, and we'll want to kind of put forward some best practices, right? Or some suggestions on things that boards can consider as it relates to attendance standards. And I don't know, John, if you want to comment on the YouTube question around how long you have to keep those materials, those office records.
So there's a general city law that pertains to the video recording of city meetings. That law actually does not apply to community boards, interestingly. So you are not bound by those strict limitations. However, as a best practice, the open meetings law generally refers to making videos available online and doesn't specify a destruction date. In general, we refer to the record retention schedules that are maintained by DCAS. I don't offhand have it all. Anthony might have it open, what it says with respect to video recordings.
It says permanent.
Okay.
It says under the category of social media, any platform used to publish videos, and it says permanent. In the
So-
retention period.
Won't that become a monetary issue for all the boards at some point?
You don't have to have them permanently online, you have to have them permanently accessible, if I understand. So if it's too many online, you could download them onto, record keeping and keep them on drives, as long as they're accessible upon.
And so,
Is there a cost for YouTube though? Or are you saying YouTube's free?
Yeah.
Eventually.
But eventually you would wanna move them off.
yeah,
I mean, I would imagine this is a space where the law might be updated as we kind of enter a new digital cloud-based society. As we all know, the open meetings law with respect to video meetings is a hot button topic every year. We think it's going to be amended to adopt for new circumstances. Every year, the legislature just extends the sunset by 1 year or 2 years in this case without any modifications that would make common sense. I do anticipate that this is going to come to a head next time this is up in 2 years, and perhaps we could be in a place to advocate for common sense provisions in that state law, because if not for the state law governing the video conferencing procedures, while you would have to retain videos if you record, the whole requirement to record and post in the first place comes out of that open meetings law with respect to the virtual video conference presentation. So I think for now, I would recommend, consistent with Anthony's expert quick research, maintaining the videos online for at least the next 2 years while the current open meetings law remains in place. But I think we should definitely, I would urge us to re-up this discussion in about 1.5 years and a year when they start negotiating what the open meetings law may look like.
thank you.
Thank
Has
you.
open meeting law been extended this year?
Yes.
For 2 years.
As is.
Yes,
Good, I didn't know.
just keep doing it.
Yes,
Moving on to CB7.
yeah, so the guidelines discussions are great also. I think in the attendance, I think our district manager said you'd also talk about waivers, maybe, or track that or not, maybe. But anyway, that also I think would be good for guidelines. We give like 3 to 5 waivers for full board. I know some people give like 0 waivers. So that would be good. We also
That would be
have,
a part of it.
okay, great.
Yeah.
We also passed against 501. We have 7 new members. They're all still with us. Thank you, Saliva. Thank you. We had a robust 72nd Street redesign meeting.
Yeah.
Saliva was there for the robustness. Yes.
And me too.
We got some, as a sharing of things, I thought we did pretty well, but here's some negative feedback that we got that people helped with. John helped, we were a member of the public who cursed a bunch. And my first inclination, people emailed in, was to remove his curse words of YouTube. And then some people were like, you can't edit the YouTube. So then John basically gave some very helpful feedback. And so now we have on our website like the curse version and non-curse version. In case you're interested in listening to some curses. Also, the venue had a space limit of, I don't know, 160 something people. And so at some point we closed the doors. People were unhappy that, they had signed up online, but then when they got there, the doors were closed. I don't know how we could have not done that. Also, lastly, a few members came with press passes. So our district manager let them in, which seemed like the right answer. But then someone came without any press pass and said, I'm a member of the press, you must let me in. And we didn't let them in. So, again, I feel like we made the right call on some of these things. But yeah, in general, John always very helpful. So I was helpful with guidelines, but things like that even more helpful. That's it.
Congratulations. I mean,
Congratulations
it
on
was
navigating that. That's not easy to do.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Amazing support. by the
And thank you,
borough
John,
Yeah.
because it was a tough meeting for you also. But I think you guys did a great job. And first on first, I think actually one of the things that I would just like to comment on is. We really do use these YouTube videos, especially if there's bad behavior happening and if we're reviewing people, if we're reviewing. If you all come to us and say that somebody's behaved poorly and we wanna talk about removing them, we need that evidence. So to the point, I mean, we should keep the records obviously, but also please ensure that the YouTube videos are happening. Because that ends up being evidence that we can help you navigate certain situations.
Can I just say, I think CB7's meeting is an example of an issue that we're all having, and that is to get a venue that is large enough to accommodate the public. Because he did the best he could, and it's just unfair when some organizations put out to their members, there's gonna be a meeting of CB7 and get there at 4:30, and the people who live in the neighborhood are precluded from getting into the building because they work and they're, or whatever, for whatever reason, and get there at 6 o'clock and they've never been to one of these meetings before and can't get in. And that was an unfortunate circumstance. I mean, I've dealt with that where we've had to go out of pocket and spend $2,000 to get a venue so we can accommodate 400 people. I mean, maybe the borough, I know that you guys help with that, but it's a real issue.
Yeah.
And then the community board gets yelled at.
Yeah.
For not being able to provide the space.
That's a very good point. I think. It's a question of like. What we can find and be helpful, and we're certainly happy to help in that process, but I think it's also a question of you know, it's like, you don't always need a space that can hold 600 people. And so it's about balancing that out, and I think maybe being flexible when you know some of these meetings are about to get.
Yeah, I mean, if there's like an emergency fund that you can go out and get it, then. Because then you also come up against the 9:30 deadlines.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think some of these restrictions, to be honest, are helpful.
Yeah.
I didn't wanna be there.
I don't think it would be great to have 600 people in that room. It was great to manage at 200 people. I think 600 people would have been rough.
Yes.
And
They have to have the
But
technology.
it's the right 600 people, to Valerie's point, right?
Yes.
Like, is it?
I mean, then you have to have the technology to be able to do the Zoom piece, so that it's really hard to find those venues.
So what I would add, thank you for that,
Yeah.
Valerie, what I would add to what the deputy borough president said. If you are anticipating hosting a public hearing of sorts, you can reach out to us with time and we will try to help. You know, whether it's, a suggestion, you kind of talking it through, but just reach out to us with time. Obviously, there's no guarantees because we also ourselves struggle to find venues for large events and things, but happy to be a helpful partner in that, so do reach out and that support. Great.
Ready?
Over to
Okay.
you, Ally, CBA.
So, a lot going on in CBA. We had, first of all, I want to start off, an extremely successful art fair show that we have every year. It was like 95 degrees, but all the artists came out, people came out, we had performers. It's just a great day. And we're learning how to use it better to promote CBA and promote, interacting with the community board. And, if you guys want to, call us, find out how the model works. We've really refined it now, and it's working really great. And it's just a great day. I want to also highlight our sanitation meeting. Esther, right there, gave the best report ever in the history. You should go online and watch Esther do this on dog poop, no less.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Everybody, my phone was lighting up. Like, this is the best thing since sliced bread. Like, I've never had anything like it. Go online, watch it. It is so informative. Her slides are the best slides I've ever seen.
Send them to all.
It is amazing, and it's must-see TV, I have to say. What came out of that meeting, I think, and what has been coming out of our meetings is, we talked about street cleaning, we talked about dog poop. We need enforcement, and we need much larger fines because people are just not respecting other people. And, you can sit in your car through street cleaning, absorb $150 fine, and it's still cheaper than putting your car in a parking garage. Nobody is giving out fines for dog poop. People are littering all over the street. restaurant owners are absorbing fines because that's just the cost of doing business. And somewhere our electeds have to step in and do something about it. Moving right along, we have a rumor of a homeless shelter coming on 3rd Avenue and 89th Street. And I say rumor because all DSS will tell us is that an application has been filed. I am begging our electeds, I'm begging the mayor's office to look at how shelters are thought about. Anybody can take their building and put in an application, and then their building is quote unquote under consideration as a homeless shelter. This can go on for a time that's indeterminable. And we have been inundated. The community is like apoplectic. And all we can get from DSS is it's under consideration. That should not be how this works. That's not transparency. That's not community involvement. It's a negative. And when you're trying to house unhoused people, the atmosphere that's created, it's just horrific. And something needs to get done about it. So that's all I'll say about that.
10 more seconds about it.
Wait, we've got 2 ULURPs coming up. And I have to say, if the city of Yass was supposed to create more affordable housing, it is a complete and utter failure. We have somebody in a C8-4 district coming to us to convert to an M1-8A R12. We specifically voted against R12. And in this R12, he's asking for a building of 495 feet. 495 feet. He's going to have 354 residences. 89 of them are supposed to be technically affordable. Right now in those buildings, he had 75 rent-controlled and rent-stabilized apartments. There are only 8 remaining. He has been putting this building and warehousing for almost 40 years. And now the city of Yass is going to help him elevate this building. We are desperate for affordable housing. And again, I'm begging our electeds. There are 50,000 empty apartments in New York City right now. You don't need the city of Yass to open them up. Something needs to be done to address this housing crisis now. And that's what CB8 is. We're going to vote like no on all of this because this does not bring affordable housing to our community. And I'll end my report right there.
Thank you, Valerie. I did want to come back on one point around DSS. I know there was a question, it was at a previous bar board, I believe I updated everyone. But obviously for safety, they do not share locations of shelters, but I did confirm with them that if you call them, they can verbally share that information with you or the district manager of potential.
Well, let me just say this, okay? We have been working, and I took heat from 400 people at a meeting, which if you read the post, you can read about.
Yeah.
But they were not supposed to identify, they came back to us. We were supposed to have a meeting about a homeless shelter. We can't say where it is. And then people post a picture of it and they know exactly where it is, okay? They weren't supposed to, they gave us a tour of the shelter before it opened, okay? And they said, we're not really gonna publicize when it's gonna open, because, I mean, that makes sense, because if it does open and everything's hunky-dory, then you know, you win the argument about how these things can exist in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But what did they do yesterday? They talked to a newspaper and they broadcast that the thing opened 2 days ago. I mean, it's the inconsistency is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
No, thank you.
And you
for
can
that.
tell I'm upset because I'm literally getting phone calls and emails 24 hours a day at home and in my office because of the incompetence of these agencies.
We'll
And the
follow
lack,
up with them.
and we still are not getting mayoral engagement.
We'll follow up with them. Thank you. I do want to acknowledge that we also have Adam online, representing Councilmember Encarnacion. Thank you for joining us. Okay, moving on to CB9.
Yes, good morning, everyone. First item is viaduct at Riverside Drive. Myself, Anthony, and other board members participated in a protest rally regarding the delayed construction, delayed for about 2 years now. And the construction has eliminated direct entrance to a lot of buildings. They have concrete barriers. You have to walk sometimes a block up to come back. And it's really obscured that. We've lost parking spaces. I know a lot of people don't care about parking spaces, but we've lost quite a few. Also, it's a fire hazard. A lot of our fire hydrants are blocked and you can't get direct access. So that is another issue. And we've been going back and forth with this for quite some time. Lighting, there's temporary lighting putting up by a construction company that does not work from 158th to 152nd. So it's no lights there at all. So I've been back and forth with DOT, the liaison as well. And we're hoping to get some movement, but it's been an issue. We are participating and helping organize a Silent Children's March in July. This march is going to commemorate the 1917 Negro Silent March, protesting violence against African Americans and discrimination. But it'll be a learning experience and also something for the community as well. So we're working with a couple of different groups on that. So we're looking forward to that. We'll probably have tenant leaders into two NYCHA developments, Boys and Girls Club, and an organization called Brother Sister Soul uptown be working with us as well. So we're looking forward to that.
What's the date for that again?
That July 27th, I believe. I'll send it back to you just to make sure.
Yeah.
At our West Harlem Ferry, we're looking at trying to promote that as well. 125th Street at the dock there. Right now we have the Baylander, which is a restaurant, but we're looking for ferry service to come. We've been approached by the Hudson River Sailing Club community as well. I met with them 2 weeks ago to bring sailing for young people there as well. And the Harlem Rocket, which would be a boat that's similar to the Beast at 42nd Street. So we're trying to work with all of us to get everybody there. We're hoping that will happen. The gates at Columbia are still remain closed. I met with several people regarding that. I met last week also with CCNY. They have gates there as well on the sidewalk. And it's a very narrow passageway with a threshold that is a little difficult. People with walkers, baby carriages, wheelchairs. So we're asking them about removing that and just put it to the side so you temporarily, if you need to, put it up quickly. I've met with the provost, trying to meet with the president to see if we can take it to the next level. But we've gotten a lot of pushback from the community regarding that. So I'm hoping to go forward with that.
10 more seconds.
New members came to our meeting last Thursday, introduced themselves, and looking forward to working with them. We're starting orientation very soon, asking for their committee choices as well. Explain that whole process, how it works. It's your request versus what we need and your skills background. So we're doing that. And lastly, Multicultural Festival. Last Saturday, one of our board members had a multicultural fest. She's done it for 17 years, gave it an award. It's brilliant every year and it gets a lot of attention. Thank you.
Thank you. And I know that our office was able to stop by.
Yes.
I wasn't able to be there, but I dropped off some materials and I met with Joyce beforehand. So thank you.
Cheers.
Wonderful. Thank you. Marquise, CB10.
Good morning. So we have a few things going on. Well, we are obviously onboarding our new members. We have a lot of new members at this time. And I don't know the exact number, but I have to look. But we're trying to onboard them. They have been participating this month. A lot of the new board members have been attending committee meetings and so on and so forth. And so that's been very positive. I know there have also been concerns from my board that have been expressed to me in regards to the borough, just the appointment process. We did lose several members were not reappointed who were very impactful to the board. And so, there have been questions amongst board members about just the process. They felt it was slightly political. I will say that is a perception. And I think it's important that I share that. I did say I would share it. And they also, I know they did reach out to you to ask to have you potentially come to one of our committees to explain the process, as there have been many questions about the appointment process and that. So that is some of the things that I am dealing with. And there's even thoughts of writing a letter to the borough president, and I'm just sharing that And we're working that out though. So we'll, I think that's something for further discussion, and maybe I thought it was important that I share that with you all today. Some of the other things I'm having some issues with right now is that CB10 possibly we're having problems. We have board members that are going to be staffing our office, as we did lose a staff member, and we were in the midst of hiring one. But are also at this point, one of our district managers is going to have is taking a medical leave for a few weeks, and so that's the only staff member now. And while we're about to onboard someone, they can't come on until about 2 weeks from now or 3 weeks from now. So we're trying to figure out how we keep the office functioning. There are questions if, the Borough President's Office, I don't know if they have any support for that, but that is something we are trying to figure out, and creating volunteer schedules amongst board members. We are preparing to we have a summer reception that we've had traditionally, where we recognize community partners and board members. That's going to be next Tuesday, which we're going to be recognizing many of the board members who all former board members, so whether they weren't reappointed or whether they didn't reapply, we are going to be giving them some type of award next Tuesday and having a reception. It's kind of like the celebration of the year and kind of recognizing some of the accomplishments of the board. We also are planning in the coming weeks, we're going to have a small business fair. Sorry?
10 more seconds.
Okay, we're having a small business fair, and the last thing is that we're going to be doing this summer lots of community events where we're doing surveying district needs and having gathering the public's input and views on the needs of our community. That is all.
Great, thank you, Marquise. Do share the date for the small business fair once that's available. It'd be great to participate in that if we can. On your other point regarding the appointment process, I do want to acknowledge, as I've shared with many of you, we are actually in the process of producing our annual CB demographics report. And so that will have a bit more information about the process this year. And I know a lot of the district managers have been incredibly helpful in helping us pull those rosters for that report. And so that will be published on our website very soon. So wanting to share, and I know you and I have a chat later, literally right after this, to talk about CB10 support throughout that staff transition. Thank you. Adele.
All right, hi, everyone. We had our Second Avenue Subway Task Force meet last evening. My vice chair, Jose, is the chair of that task force. We're making progress. It's been challenging because, to be honest, previous leadership and the elected, I just feel like we're not on top of this during the planning process. Makes it hard to kind of make changes on the fly, but we've actually developed a relationship with the person that's in charge of the whole thing. Did a walkthrough, and we've seen some changes being made. They've acknowledged there's a long way to go, but it's good to hear that our voices are being heard. And I think it shows the power of a community board. I mean, when you get the MTA to start listening to you. The other thing is kind of on that topic with the DOT, Jose's also the public safety chair. That's it. No more. There's just a host of things. They don't listen to our input. They just kind of let us give it to them, and they do what they want. One such example, and I believe this may affect other boards up on 116th Street as you go west, are the dedicated bus lanes, which is going to turn 116th Street essentially to one lane going east and west for vehicles that aren't buses. We were trying to be reasonable with DOT and ask that they just do this during rush hour, in the morning and later in the day. And they just are not willing to have that discussion, or just have the discussion and do whatever they want. I did meet with my district manager, with O.V. Lattimore, who is the new borough director manager of Manhattan for the Office of Mass Engagement. It was a good meeting. He's a very nice guy. I let the district manager speak about how the logistics of dealing with that, I'll call it department. And then I just expressed to him, that the mayor's taken a lot of initiative in our community, but without any actual feedback from what the community wants. So I'm crafting a list of what I think they should be focusing on. I think it would help to have the mayor come walk Second Avenue, come walk our Esplanade. You know, there's just a host of things I think that might have been more pressing than a public grocery store. That, you know, a lot of people in the community, to be honest with you, question the need for it. There's this idea that East Harlem is still a food desert, but that means they're looking at decade-old information. And then to the EDC, I've asked the EDC to give us an update on every project they're doing in East Harlem. They have a lot of them going on. They're shifting commitments, changing things, giving very watered down presentations and asking us to kind of make decisions. And it's getting a little bit ridiculous and frankly confusing, and I think intentionally. The people they send are lovely, but as always, they send somebody with no answers, and then they'll get back to you. And then lastly, just generally speaking, the open substance abuse, especially along Lexington Avenue, is to be really bad up by 125th. That has trickled down to 116. It's extended to Park Avenue. We're talking about, you know, needles out in the open and this and that. And NYPD is out there. I don't know for what. They just stand there. I don't know if they're, you know, hands are tied by whatever laws there are. Our elected seems super quiet about this. But it is disturbing. We had a kid pick up a needle during a Little League game at Jefferson Park. And I wondered, is it going to take a kid sticking themselves with a needle and possibly getting a disease before any action is taken? And then lastly, on that topic, I will be doing a walkthrough of On Point with the borough president on July 17th. And I also would like somehow to conduct a study on, for example, how much On Point is spending, or how much is it costing On Point to serve each person annually that uses their services? I think we probably will find out it's a lot more than we think. And it just makes me wonder if the resources that are being given to people with substance abuse issues and the money being spent there could be much better spent on creating actual rehabilitation and reintegration to society, rather than just kind of preventing overdoses, which is great, but then just kind of perpetuating that, you know, for years and years and years. So any help with that would be greatly appreciated. But that walk is, I think, the tour will be the first step. And then lastly on that, the tour, had to be scheduled 2.5 months out. They wouldn't let the borough president in unannounced, apparently, which is frankly all you kind of need to know about what may be going on there, and the fact that the person running that lives in a gated community in New Jersey, as far as I'm aware. I wonder if he would open one over there. So.
Yeah, and obviously we'll kind of, I think, like you said, that could be the start of a conversation around how we.
It's more than anyone else has been doing, so thank you.
Can I just?
Quickly, and then
The option of mass engagement. I don't know if anybody around this table, I have received emails from them telling me to go vote. I don't know where they got my information from, but I've heard other people, I don't understand that. And we've had people get texts and emails telling them to go vote. And mine, interestingly, went to my email, but it was addressed to a longtime community advocate on the Upper East Side who happens to be in an old age home right now. So I'm like wondering what's going on at that office, and I just put that out there for everyone to think about.
And I also would like to say, we've had no mayor contact, and it seems I think it's getting to be a real issue. Wait,
Sure, if I could come back on that. So Obi Lattimore is the Manhattan Borough Director, I think that's his title for OME. And I know he's been making his way across the borough right now. My understanding is he is the only person for Manhattan still. So I know that he was at CB12, I think he was at a couple, and so he's still making his way. I also have arranged to call and I said, look, the community boards need to see you. And so that's a conversation that I will have with him as well, but he is certainly trying to elevate that. He also came here exactly about 2 months ago, and he introduced himself as well to all of you.
But he's sworn to us that he's making his way.
He's trying.
Well, I think he listened in to our last meeting via Zoom, but we don't allow elected representatives on Zoom to speak. They have to be in the room.
All right, we know.
Hey, Marielle, this is Leslie online. I just want to, I want to also echo CB4 we have tried and tried to connect with the mayor's office on not only in general, to have a liaison, but with specific issues, specifically with NYCHA, and it's been extremely difficult.
Okay, if you could like reach out to me separately or, privately, just say, let me know, because again, I'm having a meeting with them a week or two. And so I can raise this on your behalf, let me know. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then last but not least, CB12.
So June was a packed month. We welcomed 16 members to Community Board 12 with an orientation on June 12th. We had a town hall on the Inwood rezoning points of agreement on June 11th, focusing on the housing points of agreement. One of the takeaways from that meeting is that they are putting up affordable housing on 9th Avenue in Inwood in a building called Lostra. It's early days, but it would bring 600 new affordable homes in the 30 to 80% AMI range. More to come on that. We also had a Juneteenth event on June 20th where we had 300 people invited to a street fair, and it was fantastic. On the viaduct issue, a lot of the details were covered by Victor, but I will note that part of the issue with that is it's currently in court. So Community Board 12 last night voted to move in that case and submit an amicus brief under the commercial division's rules, which would allow a non-party to put a motion in and provide the judge with a perspective that the parties probably cannot, and that would be the community perspective. More to come on that. We also amended our bylaws last night. We added a definition to what it means to be late, which is 30 minutes after the call to order. We also defined the term substantial portion of a meeting. So if you don't attend a substantial portion, you're counted as absent. That's 80% of any committee meeting, or for the general board, you must attend at least half, but always the public session and the items for a vote. We've also incorporated a concept called a corrective action plan. So if someone is in jeopardy of removal, we have a CAP process as well. Our general meeting took place 2 nights ago. 30 people attended and spoke during the public session. We gave out citations to outgoing board members from our city council members, which was really great. Tonight, we do have a mixer inviting our board and the public to Fort Washington Public House. Very excited for that. Our outreach committee, which I put together when I started as chair, has been doing great work. Over the summer, they'll be doing a community engagement assessment where a survey will be published and we will be inviting all members of the community to participate. We'll be using all of our outlets to promote that. And I'm really excited to share, due to the work by them and other members of our board, from January to June, we published 17 press releases highlighting the work of Community Board 12. Over the summer, we'll be doing quite a number of things. We passed a resolution supporting the Broadway Business Improvement District. We're going to be doing some work with Cloth, the Community League of the Heights, to help them set that up. We have our interns working on a playbook, what Community Board 12 should be doing every year, January to December. We're doing a look back exercise, looking back to the last 2 years to all of our resolutions and following up on all of them. And we are starting work to do 2 clinics in late summer and early fall on directed to parents about what to do in the situation where you have a child that is punctured by a used needle. So maybe we could work together on that. And finally, on July 15th, we have one more town hall on residential parking broadly. And that concludes my report.
I have 2 questions. This is jam packed. For the amicus brief, you hired a lawyer.
No, we'll be putting together the motion with the lawyers that are on the board. But we first consulted Jonathan whether we, has it even happened before for a community board to submit an amicus brief anywhere? And the answer was yes. It was very sparse, but.
That's kind of cool. For the business improvement district, we also had an effort that was trying, but then Councilmember Brewer said I would do not support no more bids. That thing, which was a large deflation for everyone. But do you have any of that issue or no?
No, our council members support this one. It's interesting. Pretty sure. Right. I mean, I've talked to them and they said to me that they support it, so yeah.
Question for council, if you are there and you vote on something, then you're subsequently deemed absent because you left early, does your vote count?
So yes, so long as you were present for the meeting and you were there and you were duly present and you voted on a matter, that would be separate from a community board registering. And what you're calling an absence for attendance purposes, the minute should reflect that the member was present for the meeting for the vote. I think and I think Anthony did a very fantastic job laying this out in their bylaws. The absence that he's referring to is more for the purposes of tracking for this accountability mechanism and less for the quorum/voting purposes.
Great. Last question and then we'll move on.
Can I get a copy? I mean, that was like, wow.
Of all this,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean, it's all on Airtable, but I'm happy to
No,
send
no,
it to you.
if you don't mind,
Yeah.
yes, I would greatly appreciate it then.
And I think you could send it to all of us.
Yeah, the borough president's gonna go over and do some guidance so on attendance, and that will include absence and yes, okay, fantastic.
All of these things that were just, thank you, CD Pop for
Yes,
laying
thank
out a
you.
process.
Thank you, Anthony. Great, so we will now move back up on the agenda to the proposed resolution for opposition to intro 051-2026 that was put forward by Adeb, CD11 Chair. Before I turn it over to you, I also do want to acknowledge that we also have a representative from Councilmember Brewer's office online as well. Thanks for joining us, Monica. Deb, over to
Thank you.
I think it's in everybody's folder
Yes,
as well.
everyone should have,
So if you don't.
and it should be, it's the update.
Yeah, I checked. I printed them just in case. I'll try to be brief. I know I think some of us were aware of this last month and I brought it up. And I think my feeling was, if not all, most of us, if not all of us, were in agreement that we were against this bill. I understand some boards have already issued letters opposing this or resolutions. We did so as well at our full board. I also encouraged members to submit individual testimony. I even drafted them sample testimony, so they just plug their name in. So some of them have done that. And I thought there would be value in us also as a borough board doing this because, you know, this involves the borough president and giving, you know, that, you know, office more power over this, which would not be a bad thing if this wasn't something I think detrimental to community boards just in general. This is not a political position. I don't understand why there would have to be not a term limits, but I guess a time term, because term limit, I mean, it sounds like it could be in perpetuity, but it's just every 4 years. To me, this is just another way of weakening community boards, term limits to members. Now, you know, the idea of a district manager not necessarily being secure. The resolution is pretty straightforward. It just basically talks about the importance of district managers, the detrimental impacts this would have. One brief, I think, whereas clause as to why there's absolutely no evidence of this being useful in any way. And you know, I tried to keep it as simple as possible. And so, I mean, again, I'm open to any suggestions, whatever. I just thought since the hearing happened Monday, I believe, it was kind of pressing because I don't know if we even meet here in the summer. So we do. And then maybe it wasn't as urgent as I thought.
I didn't know that.
And I thought I'd keep it simple so we don't have to be here forever talking about it, but I'm open to any amendments, suggestions. I just thought something like this should go through.
Sure. So what we'll do is recognize that this was received very late. Just give everyone a moment to take a look, and then happy to take hands for suggestions. Anthony?
So thank you for doing this. My board passed a version of this resolution 2 nights ago as well, opposing the legislation. One flag I would have, I mean, our board made a couple of edits. I think this originated in CB6 or CB5. But it was 6. Yeah, I stole your letter from my resolution. So in the 6th whereas, the only thing I would flag is that I think it's important to emphasize that it would grant the borough president's unilateral authority to remove the district managers. And I think that's the crux of the problem on a lot of the boards. And so I would stress that if there was a bit more of a partnership, maybe there would have been more openness to this legislation, but it would just allow the borough president to come in, remove the district manager and not have to speak to anyone. Would they likely? Probably, but the legislation wouldn't require them to. So if we could add the word unilateral.
That's great.
That would be appreciated, just to emphasize that point.
We passed one as well, you know, so I'm just not sure whose we took it off of. It might have been, I think, 2 and 3 who passed them. I think
We passed a lot.
Yeah, I took
Yeah.
5. Yours was on your website, so that's.
It doesn't matter. We agree, we all agree, I think.
Yeah.
Any other, let's give everyone an additional moment or two to review it. Any other amendments for that? This was
I just have like a point of inquiry, if this passes by the borough board, and does this convert it to a letter, and who signs that letter?
So should the borough board adopt the resolution would be transmitted with a very, very short cover letter as the effective. Please see the attached resolution adopted by the borough board on June 25th of 26. Thank you.
Can I make one change? I think actually where they may also diminish, I think it actually also diminishes. It's not may.
Okay.
It just does. I mean,
I agree with that.
we're a little bit more,
I was too polite,
yep, it's very polite, and I appreciate that.
which is not typically me, so.
So, no, and
You know better than anyone.
and with chief chief administrative officers, is that, I mean, they're also the FOIL officers though, so like there's so many things that they do, you know, so I'm, is that the only thing? Or is that like, is that a general title, chief administrative officers?
Sorry, if I could just really quickly, just so I can take notes. So on that edit, so you want to remove may also, is there something that you want to replace or add?
Diminishes.
Just diminishes,
Yeah.
okay,
Diminishes. Okay, flat.
sorry, and then your second point?
My question is the district managers, they do beyond institutional knowledge and staff retention and things like that happens. There are also a lot of other roles that they play for community board, you know, like the chief FOIL officer, for example, things like that. So, I mean, somewhere in, and what I didn't understand, if it fits all under chief administrative officer, I'm good with that. I just want to make, like, it doesn't seem like the person who suggested this has any clue really what a DM's responsibilities are for an agency, because an agency head is one thing, we all rotate, but they're the nut and bolt to making it all work. So does chief administrative cover all that?
Yeah, so I think, Tammy, you make a very good point that there's so much that goes into the role of a DM. I would say that records officer, a FOIL officer, chief contracting officer are, you know, responsibilities that each agency has to designate someone. And I think when we refer to chief administrative officer, it's a little bit in a different context, more like reflecting that they are the administrator for the office, and as administrator for the office, they take on these official agency designations. So I would say that in my view, chief administrative officer does incorporate many of those roles, many of which I have for our office, so I'm very sympathetic. But I would think it does, but we could, if you wanted to say, like, for example, chief administrative officer, which includes, but is not limited to serving as the, I think that would be a friendly amendment.
So what is?
Subject to Adam's
I accept all.
So just capture that, so that we have it, what is that again? Which they.
It says tenure of their chief I'm sorry, Brandon.
Some of that.
First name regarding
The first word.
the first word.
Yeah, so regarding the tenure of their chief administrative officers who function in roles including but not limited to the roles of
Chief FOIL, you know, FOIL administrator, I think we could add all the different little titles that each. They are also for EEOC compliance and all the other titles that go with that, maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't like how the resolution ignores the fact that it's actually the community board that hires them in the first instance. So it should be the community board that is the main, if somebody's gonna be fired, it's gonna be because the community board decides that they're no longer, doing their job.
So how do you feel about this?
That's
Community-
already the case, right? So if we
Community-
oppose this, it wouldn't change that.
Right, so,
But it
but would you,
doesn't really acknowledge anywhere that,
so would you put in here, community boards already possess the authority and procedures necessary to remove underperforming district managers
I think so.
and hire managers? District managers are subject to New York City tasks and standards provided by DCAS.
Sounds right to me.
Is that?
Yeah, I just would say it wasn't intended to ignore it, but I agree with adding it, so.
Sorry, I'm just trying to.
No, I hear
Yeah,
you.
where's
Where is that
you just
exactly?
read?
In ours. So I
Oh,
would
it's
add it
ours.
as a
Oh, I
separate
see.
whereas because it,
Whereas,
yeah.
okay. Can
Do you want me to repeat? Yes.
Yeah.
I can either repeat or send it, whichever you.
Send it.
I got it.
But it sounds like everyone is on board with what you just shared, so to make sure that we're on the same page.
Yep, got it.
Great.
So it was community boards already possess the authority and procedures necessary to remove underperforming district managers and hire new managers, comma. District managers are subject to New York State tasks and standards provided by DCAS. And I will email that to you.
Great, thank you. If you could copy it up as well.
Absolutely.
Any other amendments or comments on the resolution on the floor? Seeing none, I guess we can move to a vote. Is there a motion to
I still move as amended.
Second,
by, okay, so we'll do a roll call. CB one,
yes.
CB two?
CB2 is a yes.
Okay, CB three? CB four,
Yes, AB4.
CB five? CB six,
Yes.
CB seven,
Yes.
CB eight,
Yes.
CB nine,
Yes.
CB 10,
Yes. Yes.
CB 11,
Yes,
and CB 12.
Yes.
Passes. Great. So I'll work with you, Deb, to have the, include those edits. We'll recirculate and make sure everyone's content. And then, make sure that we get this fine.
Thank you for bringing it here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And what I will say is, because I know others have reached out about adding things to the agenda, you can just let me know what time, which you did, so that we can do that, for, our borough board members. So that's what this space is for. And with that, I do want to turn it over to our borough
Thank
president.
you. Thank you. Has anyone been on a virtual doctor appointment where the doctor doesn't show up?
Yeah.
That was me this morning. I'm sorry. It was like, I was waiting for, and then he finally called me and I was like, you're supposed to be on the video. Very good to see everyone. Good to see everyone on screen. First, the devastating news in Venezuela. And so our office is going to be hopefully connecting with relief organizations, and my heart goes out to everyone who's been impacted by that. It's really horrific as the news continues to build this morning. But we will try to connect your constituents to the right relief efforts for Manhattanites to support that effort. Just wanted to touch on a few things. Thank you for that resolution. I appreciate it. Good seeing you at the Adim at the celebration at Gracie for not at Gracie, but at City Hall for the next win. You were fortunate enough to get one of those tickets. My 15-year-old was not. But
next time I'll give it.
next time, next year. And wanted to thank John Weinberg, who testified at the hearing on district managers. And that these two bills that are in the council, I'm sure you're familiar with them. I contributed to that testimony and a letter that was signed by, I think, two other borough presidents from the Bronx and Queens in opposition to heavy term limits on district managers. From what I understand, it's a council member who has a problem with one of her district managers or something to that effect, not in our borough, apparently. And that's the origin of that bill. The other bill related to the fact that we just finished our appointments process for community boards would give
council members, the sole authority to appoint their own members to the community board, which we think is a bad idea, but apparently neither bill are going, going to be moving as far as we've been told. So there you have it. So thank you, John, for doing that. You've got, I think you have a copy of the testimony in your packet. But we know how much work district managers do, and we want to support them. In fact, they're unionizing. So there you go. Wanted to let you know that I testified before the RGB, the Rent Guidelines Board, last week on a call for a rent freeze for stabilized apartments. I think that decision is, they're making that decision this evening, right? In terms of whether they proceed with the rent freeze or not and what that looks like. And that was, I think, important to do. And you've heard from Alejandro and the work he's going to be doing in connection with that, which is crucial. On the other side of the same coin is NYCHA and our public housing and the need to support efforts at the state and city level to get money flowing from elected officials who have capital dollars to the appropriate projects in these NYCHA developments. NYCHA has been a confusing morass of a bureaucracy in terms of identifying what the capital projects are for elected officials, particularly at the state level. But Esther, I don't know if you spoke about it, but we have issued a letter along with Speaker Menon and a number of other state and local officials to urge NYCHA to give us more direction as to what capital projects we could be funding, because often an elected official will put money in toward a capital project, and then months later, NYCHA will say, or years later, NYCHA will say, we can't use that money. So it's been sitting there without purpose. And so we want to make the process more efficient. So we can fix doors, we can fix elevators, we'll get cameras and get rid of mold. Speaking of NYCHA, we're going to be partnering with NYCHA on a citywide baby shower and resource fair that's going to be expected to help 200 to 300 residents with issues like maternal health resources, WIC, literacy programs. And speaking again of NYCHA, we had a NYCHA breakfast that our deputy borough president and Marielle hosted so ably. It was really a lot of fun. We had all the tenant leaders from across the borough, who most of them women, I must say, who gathered at Lincoln Center for a roundtable discussion, I guess you can call it, but a nice breakfast and to establish good relationships between our office and the NYCHA tenant leaders. I think, Esther, did you cover the executive budget response? But there's a copy of our official executive budget response in your packet, Esther. Yes, why don't you just describe generally?
But I will say you're all opening your packets. Somehow the printing made it so it skipped every other page, but they're reprinting right now and you all will have your full packets in the next 30 seconds.
Test would have been, who notices?
Yeah, I know. I noticed like 5 minutes ago.
Pages, that's all.
I'm missing every option.
Could you summarize
So
that
let's speak about
50-page document?
Yeah.
2 paragraphs per line.
Let's talk about it really quickly. So obviously, we're nearing the end of the budget cycle through the city. You all participated through the borough board and through the community boards. We are anticipating an adopted budget, hopefully next week. We had several wins. I think the big thing on the table that you all know was solving the fiscal crisis. There was a huge budget gap, depends who you ask how big it was, but through state and city partnership, which we were proud to call for through a letter actually with many of our Manhattan and citywide colleagues asking the state to come in and support the city. We are excited to see there is on the face a balanced budget. Some of that money has been pushed to the out years, so we'll need to make sure that the out years are also balanced. But for this coming fiscal year, we have a balanced budget. It includes several things that we asked for, including some baseline funds for HPD capital and for some mental health services. There are some things that we really wanted that we didn't see in there, and including full funding for right to counsel, fair fares, school streets, We know that we're trying to complete the tree canopy, and the mayor has said he's going to do it, but we didn't see the necessary funds in the executive budget, so we're hoping to see a lot of this stuff in the adopted. You are welcome to read our full report once it's in your hands. Until then, you can read half the report and try and fill in the gaps.
Thank you for all your work on that. And speaking of budget, we allocated our $15 million, as we've discussed, to arts and cultural projects throughout the borough. I think do we have a map of, it's pretty comprehensive from north to south. But one of the cool things about this effort has been a project that we call Manhattan Multiplier, where we have asked institutions that are receiving capital dollars from this office to seek a match. And so far we have raised, how much?
I think it's almost at $12
billion additional. So we've turned our 50 million capital into, over 60 million, and it's headed north because we're still getting capital commitments back from institutions. These are museums and gallery spaces and public schools for their new theaters and music rooms. We can provide a complete list, which I think will be on our website if it's not already. But we're calling that Manhattan Multiplier, or as I like to think of it, Hamburger Helper. Because we're making it go a little farther. The project is, the effort's been really well received. We're happy about that, but we can update you that as we get more money. I think you all know about our Immigration Welcome Center that we're opening at our Northern Manhattan office. You'll get more information about when we have an official grand opening. And then a very important letter around EYCD. Esther, I'm going to throw it to you on that one too.
Sure, well.
Probably been hearing about this from your constituents.
Yes, I'm sure many of you have heard about the Compass program, new RFP process. DYCD had a new RFP process for the first time in, I think, a decade or so. And through that process, around 30% of the present contracts who offer after-school programming through the Compass program either lost the programs entirely or moved to a different provider. This has made it so that you have all of these schools who had after-school programs that they loved, that they were comfortable with for many, many years. And now either the structure of that program might change because there's a new provider, or they're losing the service entirely. I'll say there are also some places, especially in Northern Manhattan, which we were happy to see, that have gotten new services that they didn't previously have. However, all of this has been somewhat non-transparent. We joined a letter with Speaker Menon and some other local elected officials asking DYCD for more transparency in how they graded the RFP proposal that came in.
What's the timeline on this? Is it decided, done? The council's pushing back in this budget?
No, there's opportunity now for the providers to appeal the decision. So that's the process we're in. I'm not sure the exact.
Would be interested in a resolution about this issue because it doesn't impact so many of us.
We did one.
Yeah.
Maybe next month. I would love to have your resolution here for consideration by all of your colleagues.
Here's what I'll say, something our team is working on right now. We have combed through every single contract from the last RFP cycle and from this year's, and are mapping them out to see exactly which parts of the borough have dearths of services. Yep, I think there's like CB4 has none or something to that effect. There are some places, maybe it's CB5, I don't remember exactly, but we'll have the map that we'll all look through together and understand which parts of the borough have none, which received more, which is always great, but we can do everything. We can make sure everybody has their appropriate after-school services.
Okay, that'd be great to get some of these resolutions.
We'll follow up.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Esther. And on speaking of comparative efforts, and our desire to have borough report cards on city services, we issued our first one on dog waste.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
I was telling Esther was great.
So she did a PhD canine fecal matter.
I wanted to say it while you were in the room. She gave the best presentation ever by anybody to our communities.
And we're looking at other ideas and those are welcome for other comparative analyses. One will be trees and tree canopies to see where the most street trees are. And there's a cool way to analyze that by using data collected by dash cams. From delivery services and Uber and Lyft through the Cornell Technion Institute. So we're going to be looking at some of that data and see which of your community boards have the least amount of trees and which have the most. And I think that would be powerful for your council members and for your constituents in general to know. And on constituents, we have continued to grow our volunteer corps, which we've been advertising and directing folks who have signed up to efforts like the World Cup welcoming through Big Apple Reader and also counting trees through the New York City Parks Department. Right now we have 650 Manhattanites who've signed up. And on the World Cup, we're hosting some World Cup watch parties. Misha, do you want to describe what you do?
Both of our watch parties are this Saturday. You have a little flyer for one of them, which is at United Palace. That is going to be at 7:30 at United Palace. That's Colombia versus Portugal, because that's a huge game. Because if you know anything about these soccer World Cup things, whoever wins that match is going to win the group and proceed off. So a big game. We think we'll have a lot of community members up there. We're really excited. United Palace has been a great partner. And then before that, we will be at Summer Stage hosting. That's also in your folders. Panama versus England. That starts at, I think lineup for that starts at 4. 3. At 3. Doors open at 4. So both of those are free. They're open. There will be soccer activations for youth there. We'll have a soccer juggling competition stage of United Palace that I'm a little scared of. But I think these are going to be places where we'll have thousands of Manhattanites coming through to celebrate and watch someplace comfortable and safe and with lots of professional good fun. So please stop by, let us know. If you want to stop by, and we'll make sure that we save a seat for you.
And thank you for putting that together. What's the weather like this weekend?
Perfect.
Oh,
I think.
I
think.
Okay.
I'm manifesting.
And some of you were with us when we launched our Borough Book Club with our Borough historian, Harold Holzer. It was a nice discussion. We're going to be organizing another one soon, possibly as early as August, but maybe in September. So stay tuned for that. It's a good way to build community and talk about things that matter. This weekend is Pride, so we'll be marching with our contingent. If you want to join us, you're more than welcome. We're handing out as part of the gift packet, Hello Gorgeous t-shirts, right?
Yes.
So please reach out to Marielle or any of us if you want to join us. That's my report. Anything else, Jonah, Misha, Marielle?
Thank you. Thank you, Borough President, for your report. The other thing, if it's okay if I may add, we know that you're all going on summer break, or at least the boards are, but obviously, as you all know, community work never ends. So our office obviously remains here. Our team is still here to be helpful. It's a resource for all of you. One of the things that we will be doing is reaching out to all of you to set up conversations with the Borough President and myself. So please stay tuned for that. I know a number of you have reached out requesting those, so we'll be organizing those over the summer.
And we're organizing our
conversations.
Fall community board
Yes.
cocktail party, right?
Exactly.
Where and when is that? Do we have a date on that?
We are almost there.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
It'll be somewhere nice and great and very fun.
Yeah.
But we're just making sure we can accommodate everyone. We want to accommodate new board members that are going out. As many of you have already said in your reports, you're working on transition materials. We really appreciate that. We know that next year will be even more complex and complicated and more of an effort. So we want to get as many people together as possible, which is a lot of people. So we will let you all know as soon as we have a date and a location.
I want to thank Marielle for stopping by on Tuesday. we did a community board training. And I specifically chose to do it with, we got 7 new board members. The dialogue, everyone's worried about those that are coming in, but the interesting conversations that came out was we should be just as worried about those who are angry about being term limited out. So that was an interesting topic that actually came out through the training. So, you've got 7 really excited new people ready to go. And there's a dozen people who are just frustrated and kind of like, I don't have to do that because I'm out of here in April. So I think that any kind of training and cohesion that you can do as leadership now, looking in for the next year will help you have a productive 8 months ahead. I really appreciate Marielle coming. It was so much fun. It was great. It was great fun.
If I could ask, with respect to the conversations between you and the borough president and the chairs, I have 2 requests. One, I know it's a lot to ask, but if they can be in person, I think just in person is better,
100%.
And then the other is setting the agenda, if that could be collaborative, just so we have like a list of things that we know we need to discuss with you or we need to discuss.
Oh, I
with you.
see.
Yeah,
So an agenda in advance.
exactly.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can do that.
Anything else?
I guess the only other thing I would add is over the summer, our team is working on term limits. And so thank you again to you and your DMs. They've been incredibly helpful in helping provide some of that information. We will be in touch with everyone soon with that information, as well as the annual report that I referenced. That's all from my end. I do want to acknowledge just the team members that are in the room as well. So Raymond, who is our special events strategic coordinator, excuse me. Thriva as well. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves. I know most of you know them, but and of course for video. And then we also have a lot of our interns from the
Yeah, why don't the interns introduce themselves?
please.
Am I starting?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. My name's Fiona. I'm a rising junior at Cornell and I'm in the Industrial Labor Relations School. And I'm just really interested in public housing and how we can make that really accessible across Manhattan. I'm from Brooklyn myself. So I grew up in Sunset Park and it was super underdeveloped and it was like a very big Asian and Hispanic population. And that made me really passionate about affordable housing development. So I'm really excited to be working with John, who's been helping a lot with helping us getting settled with land use. And also developing our own cast projects about the stuff we're interested in.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Quinn. I'm a co-intern with Fiona. I'm also at the Cornell School of ILR. I'm a rising junior as well. I'm from Washington Heights, Manhattan. Thanks for having us and letting us sit in and you guys discuss. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Samantha. I'm from Manhattan as well, Upper East Side. And I'm currently going to be a senior at the University of Michigan studying public policy. And I'm especially interested in education policy, so I got to help with the DYC after school project.
Sure, I'll go. I'm Nathan. I'm a rising senior in high school. Really interested, as you can tell, in communication, photography, but also on a transportation and housing policy. Really excited to be here.
And what's your last name?
Sigal.
He spells it S-I-G-A-L. I tell him he's mispronouncing it.
Mohammed, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Mohammed Tariq. I'm a student at Hunter. I am currently interning in the Community Affairs Unit.
Hi, I'm Leo Khan. I'm a high school junior for Rising Junior. I'm in the special events section.
And then maybe our work colleagues as well.
Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Sohaib Shabazz. I'm the community liaison for CP7 at CG. Thank you.
And that's just a taste of our interns. We have a ton of interns around, see them, say hi. They've been very helpful. We are putting them to work and they're learning a lot. So it's been really great. And thank you all for today.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Okay, 10:27 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Good job.